start the meeting in a moment. If you would just everybody um, mute your whatever that's called, microphones. And if you cut off your video, then um, it helps it all to do whatever the function is. I can't even think of the word. So, all right.
Yeah, when we get to the photo sharing portion, uh, you're more than welcome to turn it back on for when you're talking about your 4 photos. All right, you ready, Mary?
Yes.
All right.
You can start sharing your screen.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm very glad to be here. I'm very glad to be back and a part of Audubon Everglades. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm very excited to go through all of your photos. I already got a chance to look at all of them as I was putting together this presentation, and they're just wonderful. So I'm excited to hear the stories behind each photo, and we'll get there in just a minute. So welcome, everybody. So I'll start out with a little bit of an introduction. So you guys heard a little bit. Um, I'm a student at Florida Gulf Coast University. I'm a senior in my last semester in environmental studies with a concentration in environmental education. So I've gotten a little bit of both worlds, the science and the education and interpretation side of things. And I've just had a great time over here on the southwest coast of Florida. So you can see some of my photos. I don't have many photos of myself, so here's a couple. There's me with a mud snake on the top left, working with the herpetology lab on campus. Um, so what we were doing was minnow trapping, to get a sense of what kind of aquatic amphibians and reptiles are hanging out on campus, and we caught that gorgeous mud snake. On the top right, that's me and my girlfriend Tiffany. She's my adventure partner, and there we are in New River Gorge National Park. That was this summer, which I have some photos in the photo share from that trip. On the bottom left, that's me leading a shorebird stewarding walk at Bunch Beach, which is my job. I take people out on the beach and teach them shorebird ID. And then the bottom right, that's me holding a prairie warbler that we had just banded for research purposes. And both the snake and the bird were handled with the appropriate state and federal permits. I am the founder and the president of the FGCU Ornithology Club, where we try to bring students closer to birds. And I'm a research assistant, transcribing handwritten bird records from previous decades and uploading them onto eBird and analyzing that data. So that's been a great project to work on. And in all my free time, I'm birding and I'm being a naturalist, and I'm putting all of that data on eBird and iNaturalist. So yeah, that's about me. So let's move on here to the photo share. So a few notes. We have 11 total photographers and 44 photographs. Everything is arranged alphabetically by last name. And I want to hear the stories behind your images. So everybody can unmute, turn their camera on, and say a few words about their work if they're present tonight. Everybody else, if you could please stay muted and allow each presenter, photographer to have the stage, that would be great. And so keep that praise and those questions in the chat for now, but we'll have a moment to go back to photos that anybody has questions on or wants to see again. And a quick note about being ethical when we're out taking wildlife photographs. So just read the posted signs, be respectful of the wildlife, stay on trails, and just we want to protect the birds that we love so much and the other wildlife. So just keep that in mind when you're out in the field. And here are some resources for more information about ethical birding and wildlife photography. On the left, we have a QR code for Audubon's Code of Conduct, and on the right is the American Birding Association's Code of Conduct. If you take your phone and you open the camera app, and you're taking a photo of the QR code and you hold down on the QR code, some yellow text will pop up, and if you click that, it'll open it up for you on your phone. If you want it on your computer, we can send it in the chat later on. And so, yeah, let's get started. Nancy, are you here?
Nancy's not here right now.
Not
She's
here.
in Boston and she's going to try to make it to the meeting, but she hasn't come yet.
All right, so we'll take a look. We were talking about this earlier. This looks like Blue Cypress Lake. I have not been there myself, but it's always been on the bucket list. Beautiful osprey nest. We were talking about the osprey's nest almost at eye level on the lake, and it just allows some wonderful photographs and intimate experiences with birds. Just so cool to see those fledgling chicks. You don't ever get at this eye level with them. I'm sure it was a wonderful experience. All right, Paula, would you like to take the stage? I know you're here.
Hi, I did a recent trip to Rio Rico, Utah, Arizona, excuse me. And this was one of my guide's favorite birding spots. And we sat up there and talked about, after getting a Mexican duck and some other lifers, we sat up there and talked about conservation. And it was just a really pretty, tranquil spot. The name of the place is in my photo, Edwin. Blanca Lake, Blanca Lake. Next. This is a violet-crowned hummingbird, and anybody that knows me knows that I love hummingbirds. We had been trying to get a photo of this hummingbird, and he just would not sit. And we were at Peyton's Hummingbird Garden, and somebody said, go down where there's a garden bench off the beaten path. And I finally got him perched. Next. This is Arizona sunset. We were heading out at night to do an owl prowl, looking for the whiskered screech owl, and we stopped to capture the sunset, which was just gorgeous. Next. This is a scaled pigeon, and he sat really well for us. We spotted him from a distance. We took 10 steps in, 10 steps in, kept photographing, and he stayed there for us. He sat there and preened for us for a while.
Wonderful. Nice shots, Paula. Thank you for sharing. Barry?
Myself on here. Hello, everybody. This is a photograph of a Chuck Wills willow taken at Green Cay last year. The thing that's special about this photograph is how little light there was when I took it. And I was able to take this picture at I set my camera on auto ISO with a shutter speed of about 1200th and I open aperture. So I use a 150 to 600 telephoto lens, a Tamron, with a Canon camera, and I got this really clean picture. I had to do a little bit of denoising on it, but I have a Canon 90D, and it's really good even at ISOs up to 3200 or 6400. They're good enough to be able to clean up software wise. Next, I have a story about the next 3 pictures. The Boca Raton Museum of Art sponsors exhibitions at the Boca Raton Innovation Center, which is on Yamato Road, and that is a very special facility because it is the site, was built for and was the site of the research and manufacturing facilities for IBM and where the original PC was developed. So it's a very historic place. It's now being used as an innovation center. Part of it's used for Everglades University, and there are myriad businesses that are in this. There are a couple of million square feet. I mean, it's a big facility. At any rate, they had a call for photographs from local artists a few months ago. I had participated a couple of years ago and got a couple of pictures accepted. This year, it's 3 pictures that you submit. I got 3 for 3. In fact, last night was the opening reception for the exhibit, which is going to be there for a year. At any rate, the 3 pictures I've been trying in lately is that I have been making an effort to make artistic pictures from my bird photography. And I use post-processing to do things like, in this particular case, darken and blur the background, and especially as well as being able to use Photoshop or Lightroom actually with Photoshop Raw, to get the best exposure and definition of the bird and its feathers. So this great egret was, of course, taken in Wakota-Hatchie. That was in last year, in 23, in the spring of 23. And it was kind of a cloudy day. I was on the boardwalk there. I saw the bird displaying. And one of the things that I did, and I'd like to encourage all the people to do, is to move around and get the best angle, which I did in this case, and which wasn't easy because of the way the bird was situated, turned away from or on an angle to the boardwalk. But I did manage to get this lovely photograph. Next. Again, Wakota-Hatchie. This picture was taken in 22 of, there's that pond apple tree island as you come into Wakota-Hatchie and get out into where's the open lake on the left side, and on the far side is this island, and this pair of great blue herons, was building a nest over there, and I was able to get this shot with my lens extended all the way to 600. Actually, my camera is a crop camera with a 1.6 factor, so that's the equivalent of 960 millimeters. And so I was able to get the reach to be able to get this photograph. And the next picture, taken at Peaceful Islands, Peaceful Waters, in the best birding day that I ever had on January 16th, 2016. And it was just a remarkable day. It was a clear, sunny day, and there were over 50 roseate spoonbills there. There was also a large flock of American white pelicans. 2 of they're very special birds. Of course, the pelicans are migratory. They're only in Florida in the wintertime. At any rate, again, this photograph, I did manipulate the background and toned it down I also used a linear gradient to be able to darken the background and to not darken the foreground as much. And one of the things that I like about this photograph is the way the reflection of the vegetation is picked up by the rippling water, and you get these nice wavy elements. At any rate, that's it.
Thank you, Barry. Salvatore?
Yes, hi, thank you for inviting me. This particular rose was taken at the back tower. I was there one day right after the rain. Or I should say we got stuck in the rain and then we were able to walk out. And what I liked, the water drops, and then I eliminate the background. There were a lot of foliage to bring it out, the rose itself much better. Thank you. Next. This is, I forgot the name of the lake. I'm moving up to Lake Alfred. Maybe you can suggest, I'm doing the research for places to go and photograph. So we stopped to see the sun set, and we saw this group of canoeing strolling, so I took a picture of it. Next. Well, this is at Blue Cypress Lake. We were in a boat visiting, and I saw quite few osprey landing, and this one really caught my attention because it was a full spread. So I enjoyed. Next. And this is, I think, I forgot the name of the lake. It's, there are about 20 white, I'm drawing this type of bird, white, that they were given by the Queen of England when she was coronated, and somebody brought some black ones. So that's one of the lakes that I found. I was able to take some nice pictures. That's it. I'm just looking for new places to photograph. I'm gonna miss Wacoda Hatch and Green Cay, but we go to a new adventure, new places.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Jean-Claude?
Hi. Well, this is a white egret. I was able to shoot that in Wakudahachi. What drew my interest was the light in the tail, a kind of soft light, and the fact that the egret was scratching its nose or beak or whatever. So that's what attracted me. That's what I shot it. I usually use a Sony 67. It's a recent purchase, which I'm very happy with. The software is unbelievable. It's a crop camera. And it's a lot better than my R7.5, you know. Anyway, R7.4, I mean. And I used 200, 600, 5.6, 6.3 Sony lens. So mounted on this camera, it gave me a 300 to a 900 millimeter. I must say that I'm very, very happy with the lens and the camera. The lens and the camera are both new, less than 4 or 5 months old. And that's all I can say about that picture. Next. All right, this picture is, they call it the Michigan State bird. And I found it on the beach just took a cruise by the Royal Caribbean. What we call it? Forgot the name of the ship now, but in any case, it was on the Coco Cay Island, and the bird was immobile. I just thought for a while that it was dead or something. So I bent over, looked at it, and it was just sleeping. I did almost those macro on this bird, so I was so close to it. But against the same camera, 6700, and that time was a lens of 7350, which on the crop sensor give me the equivalent of a 105 to 525. And again, I was very pleased. And the colors are tremendous colors, and the sharpness of this thing is unbelievable. Anyway, next. The other one is, there's a story about this. Again, on the Royal Caribbean, call it the Utopia. It's a brand new ship, came out in July. I think it's the second biggest ship of the Royal Caribbean after the Icon of the Sea, which I also took. But in any case, on the 8th floor, there is what do you call it? The Central Park. I was going there to have breakfast on a cafe, park cafe, they call it. And then birds were flying left and right in front of me. I said, wow. And I found out they were interesting in kind of warblers. I like warblers. It's, you know, not like the big ospreys and anyway. So I went back to my room, picked up the camera and came down and waited. There's a few benches there. There are a lot of trees there. There are a lot of, you know, vegetation and benches. So anyway, so I sat there for a while and waited for the birds to come by. And I was able to take that one. Amazing, you know, you go to Green Cay, you go to Peaceful Waters, you go to all these places looking for warblers, you don't find them. And right in the ship where I was able to shoot at this bird. Anyway, so I enjoyed it. Same camera, same lens. No, I'm sorry. Same camera, but again, there was the 70 to the 350 and not the 200 to 600. Next. Now, the last picture was my first picture. We hadn't departed yet. We were still in, what do you call it, Orlando Terminal, Royal Caribbean Pier there. And it was raining. Then we had been notified that the week would be a week of rain. But so I was in my cabin, the rain was coming down, and across from our ship on a roof, you know, across from the boat, there were these pair of pigeons, you know, just enjoying the rain, I guess. Anyway, so I thought it was a good picture, and I took it, making sure that you would see the raindrops and that the fact that the pigeon were wet. So I think it turned out pretty well. That's all for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Gary?
Good evening, everybody. I shot this picture at Green Cay. There was maybe 20 of these little ducklings, and I isolated 2 of them. I liked the symmetry of them. The mama was very close by watching, but I was very happy to be able to pull these 2 out of the bunch to make this portrait. Next. This was at Wakota. These 2 pigeons were sitting on the rail, doing sort of mating. Kind of incredible how close you can get to them, and they really are kind of fearless of people. And I love the purple colors and the gradation of colors and the feathers. The lighting was really nice that morning. Next. This I took at Wakota. I literally stood there for about an hour photographing the spoonbill. The lighting was really nice. A lot of it was backlighting. And about a half a dozen times while he was sitting there, he went into this bathing sequence and splashing and up and down. I literally shot about 2,700 pictures in an hour, but really had a good time enjoying it. So I liked the feathers I was able to catch, the movement. I think the picture shows movement of both splashing and his wings. Next. This was at Green Cay. This night I was pretty close to the boardwalk, and he was on a pretty low bush, and I watched him hunting. And unfortunately, when he dove for the fish, he dove away from me. So the bush was between me and the water where he actually caught the fish. But he brought him back up, and I was almost at eye level with him. I got down a little bit and watched him for about a half hour maneuvering this fish till he aligned it and was able to swallow it whole. So thank you. Appreciate your viewing my pictures.
Thank you, Gary. Don?
Hi, everyone. I was, all of the photos that I've taken were at the Arthur R. Marshall Waxahachie National Wildlife Refuge on 441 South. I've been following a family of hatchlings, and they moved to Lee Road in the canal. And this one was moving around, and finally it crawled over the Spanish moss. And the Viceroy butterfly landed on the moss and then flew to the back of the hatchling, stayed there for a little while, and then flew off. So that was quite a surprise. Next. This is also at Waxahachie. This was in the parking lot in a big, I think it is, oak tree right by the visitor center. These are actually two of the three outlets, barn outlets that are in the area. They were on this tree for a couple of hours. I was down in the parking lot. As you might know, I was sitting and just focusing up on the owls. Cars were going by, people were walking by. The owls would look down and not faze them. Unless the people looked up, they didn't know that the owls were up there, but they just stayed there and had a good time. Next. This was on the Marsh Trail. I was again sitting in my spot, and just previous to this, the mother bobcat went across the trail with one of the kittens. Now, I do know that there were 3 kittens. A couple of minutes later, you see on the upper right corner, there's a concrete bench. I spotted the 2 of them behind the bench. And then after a minute or so, they came and decided to sit in front of me. And they moved around somewhat, and they were there for almost 8 minutes, not facing me, that I was sitting right there. They just looked one way, looked the other way, and no other expressions. Next. one of them had jumped on the bench and was staying there for a little while. And then the second one decided to jump up on the bench also, which it did. They stayed there for a second or two, and then the one that's up there now jumped off. The other one just sat on the bench. You can't see it in this frame, but where that leaf is across the bench, there was a pretty big fly that was annoying the bobcat, and it tried to swipe it and go after it, but the fly flew away. This was there, and then this one jumped off also into the brush. So it was quite an experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Don.
Okay.
Lee?
I don't see Lee on as a participant here. Okay.
Okay, so we'll go through her 4. This looks like a red-shafted flicker, which is the western subspecies of our typical northern flicker of the east. Really cool that you can see those central barbs of the feathers and how they're tinted red. That's just, I thought this one was awesome. A bald eagle. It looks like with some fall foliage in the background. And another bald eagle taking flight. Very cool series. All right, Carol.
This was taken at Stick Marsh. And it sort of says everything right there. It was a beautiful day early in the morning, and as usual, it was very busy. A lot of nest material gathering, and that's what this bird was coming over towards us to do. Next. This is not as good as the great white egret we saw earlier, but it's also at Wakota. Next. And this is just to show that iPhones still can provide pretty good results. I bee on a little flower. And finally, this was at Green Cay. And I just love this because it sort of looks like a salad bar on the back of his head. And I called this cruising because he was just motoring along. He was all alone. We were all alone, actually. There was nobody else around. And I was lucky to get this picture.
Great, thank you. All right. I have a couple photos from my trip, as I mentioned, with my partner, Tiffany. We took a road trip all the way from South Florida to Washington, D.C. and back, and hit all the national parks in between. These 4 photos for the photo share are all from Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And yeah, I was looking forward to seeing my first wild black bears, and these couple certainly delivered. We were coming down from a very strenuous 6-hour hike down the mountain, and we were trying to get home, get to lunch, rest at camp, and as we were flying down the mountain, we heard some rustling in the bushes off to the side, and we looked over and they were just eating right there. You could see they both have a leaf in their mouth. They were munching, and they turned and you could see what I assume is the mom giving me a look, and then I took like 4 frames and then kept going down the mountain because they had or we were startled by them. We were within too close of a range to be comfortable for us and for the bears, so we kept going. But it was a very special moment for me. On this one, we were driving out, and there was this drainage ditch, and this young red fox poked its head out of the ditch and looked right at me, and I stuck my camera out of the car window and took a shot, and then he went back in the hole. So that was really cool. Here is on the same hike as the black bear, and this was at the base of a waterfall. And this is a Cherokee black belly salamander. And what's cool, and the reason why he was kind of standing out on a rock posing, is because they're actually predatory salamanders. They're at the top of the salamander food chain. So he's confident enough to stand out like that and strut. So that was really, really cool to see. Lastly, here's a Canada warbler. So in the Great Smoky Mountains, that's in the Canada warbler's breeding range. And it's a very rare migratory visitor to South Florida. And I got to see so many of them singing and courting and flying all around, all through the mountains. And this is my favorite shot of one of them. It came right out in the open and with the light hitting it perfectly. And I was just amazed to see one in its native breeding territory. That's all for me. Moving on to Scott.
Hi, everybody. This is a shot actually I took at Peaceful Waters this past spring. And it was, you may remember the other shot I showed at the last photo share was also of the same bird. And it was of it eating a berry off of the gumbo limbo tree. And this is also on the gumbo limbo tree. But what I love about this shot is the fact that what you don't normally get to see on gray catbirds is the red on the undertail coverts. And that's what really excited me about this shot. And since then, every time I now see a catbird, and we saw them quite often this summer because we were up in upstate New York, and we had a pair actually breeding on the property that we were on. I look for the red on the undertail covert. So it was very exciting, and also it was kind of educational because, I hadn't really thought. I kind of knew that it was there, but I never really had seen it clearly. And even when I was looking at the bird and photographing it, I didn't really notice it. And it wasn't until I saw the photo, and I know that happens probably to lots of us, where we see things in the photo that we didn't realize we were looking at when we took the photo. Anyway, so I do love this shot because of that fact. Next shot, Edwin. This is a shot from the summer, actually. It's obviously a Eastern Phoebe. What I really love about this is the tail feathers and the fact that they're splayed like that, as opposed to being all together and compact. And of course, it's a classical look of it. You can see that kind of the shaded vest on it, and we saw them all the time. I mean, there were probably 3 or 4 that we would see on the property regularly in upstate New York while we were there. Next shot, Edwin. This is another shot I took a while ago, actually. This is from Peaceful Waters and probably from 2018. And I showed this because this is on my desktop, on my screensaver on my iPad. And I look at it all the time, and I love it because of all the motion in it, and the water motion, the droplets coming down. There's something in the black-necked stilt's beak, that the tail feathers going up and down, and there's just so much happening in it for me. And anyway, it's just a shot I love, and I just wanted to share that with you because I do love looking at this photo myself and seeing it again and again. So next shot, final one, I think. And again, this was up this summer. We had lots of ruby-throated hummingbirds. This is a female. I never got a good shot of a male, unfortunately, which of course, that's the one you want to shoot because of the ruby throat. But I do love this shot because of the tongue that you can see on it. That's what really excited me. And I just had never gotten a photo with the actual tongue sticking out. So it was like, and I've seen it, but I've never gotten a good photo of it. So I did like the fact that finally I got a photo with the tongue. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Scott. Those were all some amazing photos and even better stories, I think, to go along with all of them. I really love hearing the stories. So now everybody can turn their cameras back on if they'd like. This can be another sort of social few minutes, as if anybody wants to go back to a certain photo, we can have some questions. If anybody has questions about certain shots, certain stories, we can go back to a few. Susan.
Yeah, I just
in
wondered what happened to
photos.
my photos that I sent in.
Mary, do you want to double check?
Susan, I never saw them, but we'll definitely look into this.
She can share her screen.
You can, if you have them now, you could share your screen.
To do it.
I could make you that happen for you. If you have them up or ready.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to do that.
So Susan, it's really pretty easy. However you look at them on your screen, what we'll do is we'll make you able to do it. And then if you look at that little green box on the bottom where it says share screen and you click on that arrow, then you'll be able to share your screen. So if you want to take a moment and pull them up so we can see them, because we'd love to see them, that would be great.
Well, they're attached to an email. I'm not sure how to do that. So.
Oh, I see.
Susan, can you forward your email, the email that you sent again? I'm going to put it in the chat. I just went back and checked and it wasn't in my inbox.
So what address do you want me to send it to?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Let me do that.
Yes, Barry?
I'd like to pass along something that I learned from a couple of really outstanding bird photographers that I'd met over the years on the trail at Wakota and Green Cay. I noticed that a number of the pictures tonight were soft in terms of focus. And one of the things that I learned, and this really made a big difference in the quality of my pictures, is that number one, I took to use auto ISO and set the shutter speed and aperture manually in manual mode. The other really key thing for getting sharp pictures when you're hand holding for birds that are normally moving pretty good, but even if they're standing still, is to get the shutter speed up to about 2,000th of a second or higher. And even if you wind up getting a little noise, it's an easy thing to denoise those photographs in Photoshop or using Topaz photo or whatever, as long as they're not too noisy. And if you have a decent camera, they're not going to be, I mean, until you get over about 3,200 or 6,400. But to get the fast shutter speed, you really will get sharp pictures.
Thank you, Barry. Those are some good tips. Definitely took me a while to learn to increase my shutter speed. For the longest time, I was at like 200th of a second.
Mm-hmm. Likewise.
I think I got Susan's pictures. Yes. Give me 1 second to pull them up. Anybody else has comments or questions about any photos? Feel free as I do this. Susan, I have 2 photos. Is that it?
No, I sent 4.
I have the hawk and the red start. I see that there's the ruff and the piping, but it
Yeah.
doesn't look like they attach to the email.
I can try sending them again.
Yeah, try sending just those 2 in another email and try to attach it as an attachment rather than embedded into the email.
Mm.
Let's see.
I had a question about John Claude's photos, if you're still here. Is he still in with us? Doesn't look like it.
I don't see his name.
Well, I thought it was, I've never been on a cruise, and it sounded like there were trees in the boat. If I'm understanding that correctly, there's like a central park on the boat, and the migratory birds were using that habitat. I thought that was fascinating. I thought that was such a cool experience. I don't know, does every boat have that?
I doubt it. But anything goes on the ships these days.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he took that shot from a cruise. I thought when he said Central Park, I thought he was in Central, in a hotel or something that overlooked Central Park. That's what I thought he was speaking of. I had no idea if he meant he was on a
No, I
cruise.
think he was on a cruise boat, and he
Okay.
was going for breakfast or something. Okay, I got them, Susan. Let me
Oh,
just
great.
download
Good.
those 2 and I will pull them up.
Oh,
All right. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Susan, tell us about your photos.
I just thought since we're in the middle of fall migration, a picture of a red start might be nice. I took this at Orchard View Park. And on that particular day, there were a lot of birds. It was in October 10th, 2020. And there were a lot of little butterflies or moths in the grass. And the warblers were flying down right at our feet, grabbing these little moths and going back up and perching on the branches right in front of us. They were having a feast, and it was nice for taking a photograph. You can go to the next one if you want. This is just a red-shouldered hawk at Green Cay. And I just liked the muted colors. I thought it was pretty. So often we have a bright blue sky behind them, and I just thought it was kind of an interesting shot with the muted colors. Okay. This is a rare shorebird called a ruff. This was taken at Peaceful Waters. It was April of 2021. And there was probably 100 yellow legs. And this one ruff was found by a man who posted it and alerted the birding community, which caused a tremendous amount of excitement. And probably 100 people came out to see that bird over the next 5 days. And it was probably the closest I've gotten to one. Usually they're way out in a sod field in the agricultural areas. And you can go to the next one. This is a little bird called a piping plover. They're also fairly rare, not as rare as the ruff. This little bird has a tag on its leg, and it was banded as a chick up in on Long Island. It was banded, I think, in the spring. And I took this photo on August 30th of 2021. So that bird was maybe 3 months old when it flew over 1,000 miles from New York down to Boynton Beach.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
He's so little, these birds.
Yeah, so they're very
Thank
cute. So that's it.
I'm glad you showed that photo of the ruff, Susan. I remember being there also, and yeah, all the yellow legs around it. It was so hard to get a photo of the ruff alone.
I
Didn't get anything that was as good as yours. Everything had like, a yellow leg somewhere in the photo.
I remember
those are good
I
photos
left,
too, though. I liked it with the yellow legs too,
Yeah.
I left town, I think the day before or the same day, and I got back to the West Coast, back to school, and I checked my phone, and I was like, "Are you kidding?
Oh no, you just missed it.
Are you kidding?"
Oh,
So I've yet to see a rough.
oh
And
no.
it was close. It was really close. That's
I
what
know.
was amazing about it.
I know. I heard the stories.
Yeah. Sorry. Putting it in.
All right. Do we want to go back to any other photos? Any other questions, comments before we move on?
So when you saw the bears coming down, I mean, I've seen bears a few times also. Once in the Smokies, once at the house that we rented this summer. So how close were you?
Let's see. Maybe 40 feet,
Oh,
50
that's
feet.
close. That's close.
They were like I could throw a rock and hit it, and that's too close.
I know that was really close.
Yeah, so it was a really special experience. It was just we saw the mom first, and then we heard the rustling right behind, and here it came right into view.
Yeah.
All they gave us was a look, and then they kept minding their own business, munching. You can't see it because the leaf is blocking it, but the adult bear's right ear was tagged
Oh,
with the
interesting.
number, and so I think that may have been captured and tagged for research purposes, but I'm not sure of how to report it. But I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody else?
You see, you're not sure about how to report it? Well, I don't know either.
If the number means anything, or if it's just not unlike banded birds, maybe it's just something that the
Oh,
researchers
no,
use.
but I mean, that bird, I'm sure that bear's being tracked.
Mhm.
I mean, they're looking, I think that would be helpful. I would contact the ranger at the park.
Yeah, I could definitely go back. I have the coordinates and everything where I saw it, so. All right, should we move on?
Sure.
All right. Well, those were all wonderful. I'm really glad to hear all those stories and see all those wonderful photographs. So thank you for your time sharing your stories. We're going to wrap things up here with just a couple announcements about upcoming meetings. So this is the main Audubon meeting. So please join us for the Virtually There series, which is the popular virtual series. And photographer Anthony Slyman is going to present Capturing the Night, showcasing Florida's last dark skies and untouched landscapes. sharing his passion for conservation photography and raising awareness about light pollution. So this presentation is going to be great for us as photographers and adventurers to see, you know, those last little bits of Florida that haven't been compromised by light pollution. So, and hear about how we can continue to conserve those dark skies. So this will be great. I'll be there, and we hope to see all of you there. For the photo group, we're going to have Lisa Legel join us again on October 17th. And she's going to give us a wonderful photography talk. So we'll hope to see you there as well. And as always, you can connect with us on all of our social medias. And again, the QR code is there that leads to all the links. All right, and that is all I have. So thank you all for coming and sharing your photos. I had a great time. And now we can turn it back over to a little bit of social time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. Great job. Great first night job as a host.
Thank you.
That's really well done. Thanks.
Edwin, what was the park on the West Coast? As I said, I'm moving, I live in Coral Spring right now, and I'm moving up to Lake Alfred. What parks are there beside I went to Circle B Ranch, to Stick Marsh. What else is there that is good for birds?
Down here by me.
I guess any place. I mean,
I was talking about Estero Bay Preserve State Park at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was that again?
Estero.
Oh, stereo. Okay.
I'll type it. That's wonderful for all sorts of different families of birds.
Yeah, somebody had asked about the location of the art exhibit that my pictures are in, and I put it up. I posted. I did convey that on the post there.
Okay, so I don't, it's checked again.
Just say I'm glad you got to share.
It's at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, which is near off of Yamato Road, near I-95. So if you look up the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, or you look up just BRIC, B-R-I-C, I'm sure you'll be able to find it on Google.
Just catching up on all of your notes that you put in the chat as we were going through.
I also mentioned that I had the pictures printed in large format on canvas, and they really came out wonderful. They look almost like a painting, but without losing any sharpness or color. And I found this vendor online called discountcanvas.com. And so it happens they're located in Miami. So you can get like next day service by ordering a canvas print and for under $40, like you could get a 20 by 24. It's beautifully framed and beautifully stretched, and that including the shipping, and that is a very, very reasonable price for that product.
Definitely, for sure.
And they have them in all different sizes. And of course, the price is proportional to the surface area.
Barry, could you put the that information into the chat where we could, if somebody
I
wanted
did,
to?
I put the
it's
website
up a
on the
little
chat.
bit.
Great, thank you, Barry.
I'll put it back down at the bottom.
Okay.
And discount canvas.
Oh, I see, that's great. And if you can vouch for the quality, that's really good.
Yes, I really think it's quite excellent. I've already printed more than a dozen of my photos. I'm accumulating a portfolio of them. Who knows? Maybe I'll try to sell them one day or so. But really, the purpose is to have them to show and to exhibit. And I got some hanging up in the house.
Did I spell this incorrectly? Okay.
I'm losing my friend Salvatore Mattai, who's moving away. He and I go out birding together once or twice a month is on the average. He has some other friends that he
It's okay. It's okay. I'm only 2.5 hours away. I can always come back.
Don't think I'm not going to come to you too.
That's it. We meet someplace halfway. I'm able and willing to travel. As a matter of fact, at the end of October.
Thanks for coming, Susan. Nice to see you.
As I was saying, at the end of October, my daughter asked me to accompany her upstate New York for the change of leaves. So that's going to be an adventure.
Yes, right.
Salvatore, you asked about birding spots. What town, what county are you moving to?
Lake Alfred, southwest of Orlando.
What county is that?
Polk County.
Polk County. So yeah, you mentioned Circle B, but
Yeah,
you're more
Stick Marsh. I went to Blue Cypress Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And brain fog.
Kissimmee State Park is up that way.
Yeah, and
saw turkeys there.
sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
On the West Coast, you should be within striking distance. You have Fort DeSoto in St. Pete.
Yeah, I've been to Fort DeSoto with Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and down in Manatee County, there's Emerson Point Preserve, which I've liked.
Emerson.
There's a birding trip to Fort DeSoto coming up with Audubon Everglades with David Simpson as the field guide, and not many people have signed up for that. So we're looking for more people to join us.
Okay, I'll
That's a
double
great
check.
place. And with David Simpson, you'll see birds for sure.
Exactly.
David is amazing.
Superhuman. A little further down in Sarasota.
Yes.
What is it called? Let it
Starts with M.
Now I'm blanking. Shoot. I'm getting it confused with Lettuce Lake, and I know that's not it.
You're too young to be having these problems.
I'm sorry, you hanging out with me?
Miyaka State Park is
Miyaka, yes. Celery Fields, that's what it is.
What was the name?
The Celery Fields.
Oh, yes.
That's a great spot.
Stopped there one time. Really nice. saw migrating bobolinks there
Mm-hmm.
in the spring. But Miyaka State Park is really it's a very large park, and it has lots of wildlife in it.
Yes. Thank you, Scott, for putting that in the chat. I think that's all I have for really great West Coast hot spots near Polk County, but I'm sure you'll find a whole bunch of local spots near you that'll be just great. I wish I could spend more time there, but I'm so far away, you know. So I've been to Circle B, and I think that's about it. And it was about 100 degrees. And so it was miserable. And there weren't that many birds out, so.
Well, it's better than being in snow. I'm an ex-New Yorker, so I'll take the heat anytime.
All right, well, shall we wrap it up?
Thank you, Edwin.
Of course.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
It
coming,
was a
Paula.
pleasure.
Nice to see you. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you in October.
Okay, good night. Ciao.
Bye.
Mm.